Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by Pilma. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And today we have the pleasure of having James Scott Farrin. We call him Jim Farrin from Raleigh, North Carolina. And I've known him for years. He was one of my biggest competitors. And now he's got probably, I think it is the biggest personal injury law firm in the state of North Carolina. He's got over 17 offices. He's got over 60 lawyers. And it's just, you don't get that big unless you know what you're doing. So welcome, and thank you for being on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So I just want you to tell us your story. I always like to, instead of me giving all these accolades, I think it's better. I like people like to hear, how did you get in law? Why did you get in personal injury law? How did you get into marketing? I mean, how did you grow your practice? How did you go from being, small to so darn big? So just kind of give our listeners and viewers,
Sure, Ken. I guess it's important to know my dad was an international businessman, and my mother was a social worker and a minister and kind of a do-gooder. And so I'd like to think that I'm a product of my parents, and I landed in a place that combined helping people with business. But when I went to law school, I hadn't quite figured that out yet. I went there are no lawyers in our family. It was just I had good grades in college and couldn't figure out what I would do with it for a career. And back then they said, if you can do anything with a law degree, when in doubt, get a law degree. I don't think I would give anyone that advice now because it's too darn expensive. But back then it was somewhat affordable. So anyway, I went to law school. I went to Duke Law School and became a lawyer. I didn't know what I would want to do. When I got out, I got a job at a big corporate litigation firm in Los Angeles, California. LA Law was the show back then, and I thought I was going to live that life. And I ended up not being a good fit there. It wasn't a good fit for me. It was, I didn't like billable hours. I didn't like big law. And so I actually thought about getting out of law. I found another job at another law firm, but at 5 years in LA and California, I wasn't really enamored with the law. Decided to move back to North Carolina, where the pace of life suited me more, I think, and didn't know what to do. I took the bar just to keep my options open. And then I knew somebody who had a personal injury law firm, and they needed some help. And they said, why don't you come in here and try this? So I said, all right. I didn't have anything else to do. And I just got in there and started learning the ropes, handling cases. And I did every bit of the, from going to the police station and getting the direct mail list to mail to people, to signing people up, working the cases all the way through, building the demands, negotiating, settling them, filing suits, handling workers' comp cases, the whole litany of things you do in a personal injury practice I was doing. And it was a great way to learn for a couple of years. And what I found, Ken, is for the first time in practicing law, I had meaning in what I was doing. And I think it was because I could see that I was helping people. Before, with the big law firms, we were working on $1 million cases, but it's for a company against another company. It just felt really abstract and not meaningful. And so here, even if it's a little bit of a lot smaller case, but if I'm putting real money in a hardworking person's pocket and I can see the smile on their face, the joy in their eyes, it did my heart good. And so when I guess I just by accident, or maybe it was fate, I found this is kind of what I meant to do. That law firm, we were going to try to be partners, after a while, and it didn't, we couldn't agree to terms. So I went out on my own, and really the goal was just to do what I love doing and help people and nothing else. And, we did it for a few years and we got better at it and had some success, and it started building. When I think back, this reminds me of a cross-country race I ran in high school. It was the 9th grade championship, and I was not supposed to win, and I didn't think I would win. I thought, we started out in the first mile or two, I was maybe in 10th place. And then I saw a guy ahead of me, said, all right, my goal is to pass this person and get into 9th place. And I did. And then I took the guy who was in 8th place and one by one by one. And by the end of the race, I had won the race, much to my surprise. But it was just because I was setting intermediate goals and accomplishing them. And sort of the same thing with this law firm. Once we establish some level of success, decide, well, maybe we will try to get a little bigger. Maybe we will try to do more. So I didn't set out to have 60 lawyers or 17 offices or 260 employees. It just was the product of a bunch of intermediate goals.
Great story. So when you're spending multi-millions now on marketing, you got to be with this big operation. How do you track it? Because, in our mastermind meetings, when we had one yesterday, Jim, and somebody said, how do you, we had a guy that's spending, 3 or 4 million a month. And one of the other lawyers says, and he was saying, well, I get these cases or whatever. He said, well, how do you really know? Because you're doing everything. How do you know if they didn't see you on TV, then saw a billboard, and then all of a sudden they got in a wreck and they saw another TV, and then they went to the website, and then they called you off the website, which you got a tracking number. But then, and I remember this, Jim, I used to ask 2 questions. How'd you hear about us? And what were you looking at when you dialed the phone? And I thought, well, that's smart, that's a better way to do it. But it still was not correct, because they would say, I heard about you on a billboard, and at that time I'd never done a billboard, right? And I said, what are you looking at? Well, the number I wrote down from the billboard. Well, I don't have a billboard, so they couldn't have done it. And it was interesting. So my question to you, have you figured out anything about it? I mean, is there any answers that maybe me or any of my groups have not figured out yet?
Well, it's a good and important question. I wish I knew precisely what causes people to call, because we all want to measure the effectiveness of our marketing efforts and do more of what's working and do less of what's not working.
Yeah.
And how do you know? It's just hard, because when you have a large brand and you market in multiple mediums, they all overlap. And some, as you're saying, somebody might have seen your TV commercial for years. They may have looked you up on the website. They may have talked to a friend, and the friend said, call this, this firm. And as a result of all 3, they call you. And so which one is it? It's hard. I find it impossible personally to measure with precision. If you figure it out, please let me know. What we do is, I guess, half of what you did. We just ask people in all of the calls, when they call in the intake, just, what made you call? What was the source? And, we get them to give us something, pick one thing, whatever comes to mind. And it may be that a friend told them and they've seen the commercials or whatever, but what is it that made you call? And they will give you a top of mind answer. It's incomplete because there are probably multiple factors, but I think we can accurately measure top of mind awareness. And that gives us some idea as to what's working in marketing and what isn't. But, one thing I'll say is TV, not as many people will say TV has made them call, but I know one thing: if we cut off the TV, we don't get anywhere near as many calls. So a lot of people, I don't know if they're embarrassed to say TV or it just hits more their unconscious, but I find TV is still to be effective, even if people don't directly attribute the reason they're calling the TV.
A good takeaway, and I want our listeners and viewers to take this away. I love that question. What made you call us? Because that's more than just how'd you hear about us, right? You're trying to find out the reason. What was it that prompted them to what pulled the trigger, right? To make them pull the trigger. Very, very good thing that everybody that's listening to this should put in their intake. What made you call us? Or how did you say it? You might have said it different than that.
I don't remember how I said it, and I don't know exactly what the question is for intake, but the spirit is, what made you call us today?
Yeah. What prompted you to call us, or what did you see that made you, pick us, give us a call or whatever? Very important to know that, because that could tell you a lot more than just, how they hear about you. What is it?
And you can watch trends over time. And of course, we're seeing more internet over time coming which makes sense. That it's becoming more and more powerful medium.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, because here's what I'm hearing, Jim, and you'll know better than anybody, that TV is still effective, but the cost per case is climbing. And I remember this happened with Yellow Pages before they became extinct. I had tracking numbers on everything, and I saw it. I was still getting cases, but when I started Yellow Pages, it was about $500 a case. And when I got through with Yellow Pages, it was like $2,500. This is like in 2005 or six. So it's a long time ago. Are you seeing the same trend for TV? Is it going up, but it's still effective, but it's still the cost per case is going up?
I think
As much
right.
as you can tell.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I do think our costs per case for TV are rising. I do think that I wouldn't say it's a decline. Well, it is a declining medium. It's not as powerful as it was 10 years ago because fewer people are watching broadcast TV. It's just so spread out. You have so many cord cutters, you've got the cable, it's fragmented like crazy. And so it doesn't seem as effective as it was 10 years ago. Having said that, I still think it's mighty effective. And, it could be like Yellow Pages and, there may come a day when, it goes the way of the dinosaur, but I bet it's farther off than people think because it's still pretty powerful. So you can still get a lot of mileage out of it if it's declining. But of course, as you know, for it to be effective, you've got to be able to have a big budget and spend a lot. If you can't just put in a little bit on TV and hope it works out. You have to have a big commitment. So you have to have a big commitment and be willing to play a long game there.
Yeah, it just costs so much more. I mean, I was looking at competitive just in your market. And I remember when we were going head to head, I mean, I was always number 2 behind you and close. But then one year, I think it's when you settled that big farmers deal, you just like doubled it, man. And like just went away like a rocket. And you had me scratching my head, Jim. I said, I can't do this. I got to figure out another way, and I went more grassroots. But the deal is, I didn't stop what I was doing. But I think what happens when you get so much money in there, like you say, it just dilutes the little guy. I mean, I'm telling people now, top 3, at least top 5. If you're not in the top 3 or 5, you really probably ought to stay off of the TV and do something else.
I think that's right. You then focus on the grassroots. There are other ways to get cases and make
on
money.
the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, I love TV, but when I got in TV and you got in TV, Jack, it was so damn easy. We could make a bad commercial and the phones would ring off. I'm being honest. In 97, 98, I mean, and you could see it instantaneously. I remember the first month I ran TV. I mean, it was like my case intakes like quadruple. I mean, overnight. And I mean, I wasn't spending that much money. I was spending like $40,000 a month. But I just said, this is crazy. And now I see lawyers go out and put 100 or 200,000 in a month, and they're getting, it takes them 6-8 months before they really start seeing any kind of jump in their intakes.
Yeah.
Because it's so saturated. But if you got a lawyer you're spending 200 and you got 5 lawyers in front of you spending between $500,000 and $2 million a month, you're going to get lost. And I know John Morgan. I mean, he tells you. I mean, he's going to try to push you out. I mean, he's going to put more money in, even if it's not profitable for him. It's like he wants to take the market over and run you out, which is a smart business move, right? I mean, it is. Right. Little guys don't like it, and girls, but there's more ways to get cases. And I know TV is like the anchor and internet now, but I'm sure you do 25 to 35 things to get cases, little things.
Well, I think the thing that anybody can do, Ken, is work on getting client referrals. When I started, I wasn't on TV. I had 22 clients when I started the firm. And I told each of them, I'm a young struggling attorney. I'm working my butt off for you. And what I want in exchange is, if I do a good job for you, please tell other people so that other people can get help and you can help me, expand this practice. And these people did. So the lesson to me is, if you can connect with people and show the value of what you're doing, and you tell them that you need referrals and you expect them and you want now online reviews, you can get that. And so those cases are good cases, and you can beat out the big marketers by having a network of people who spread the word. And so I think paying attention to the client experience and asking them for the referrals, setting that as an expectation, is something it's labor intensive, but a low dollar cost way to really build your business.
So I want to ask you something. I ain't going to say preaching this, but I've been advocating this for about the last 3 to 5 years. And recently, with the big amount of money that's been put in by the government into the infrastructure, the bill, I can't remember what they call it. but all this infrastructure, building bridges, roads, things like that, I would think, and I hear a lot of PI lawyers say, I can't compete with the big boys or whatever. And I tell them to niche down into certain things like dog bikes or bicycles or motorcycles, if you can't compete with just regular auto. But I'm thinking eminent domain. And I know that you have done a lot of that, and you started it a long time ago. And, I just want somebody to confirm what I've been preaching for the last 2 or 3 years is correct. I mean, how has eminent domain been for you?
I really like it. We started it about 10 years ago for a couple of reasons. One, we wanted to diversify, and it's smart to think through, in 20 years, if driverless cars are taking over, will the auto accident business be what it is today? Maybe not. Politically, we experienced this in North Carolina. The legislature enacted some tort reform, which impacted auto cases and workers' comp cases and med mal cases. So I wanted to find something that was an extra revenue stream that allowed us to help other clients that maybe was outside of the sights of the political hitmen who are out to try to hurt our practice. And so to me, we landed on eminent domain, and we've been glad that we did. It's a great area. You get the same thing where you're helping people up against a more powerful entity, in this case, the government. The government, much like an insurance company, will not pay full value to people. They will try to get away with what they can in a negotiation. They'll make an offer. Almost everybody thinks when their land is taken that they don't have much that they can do about it. And so most everybody settles directly with the condemning group to their detriment. We represent people on a contingency. We lock in whatever their highest offer is and say, you got that. We'll just take a percentage of what we get over that offer. So they're not running any risk. And 99% of the time, we're able to do that and put a lot more money in people's pockets. And the great thing about this area is if you get to a jury trial, everything is in your favor. And I'm the most conservative jurors hate government taking people's land. The most liberal people hate person getting stuff taken from the government. And so you're really on the side of the angels in these jury trials, and it makes for some compelling arguments to make and some really good verdicts, which you can then use to leverage settlements. So I think it's a great practice here. Now, to do it, you've got to have people who really know the area. You can't kind of dabble in it, but what I would suggest for people is either to build a practice and hire someone who's an expert in it as an attorney to work those cases, or what anybody can do is if you're in a county and there's a road project coming through, talk to your clients, get some, sign some folks up and partner with another law firm that does these cases, and you get cut in on the attorney's fees, maybe learn how to do it that way. But it's a fascinating area. It's a high impact area of law. It's a little esoteric, and you just have to build up the institutional expertise to know how to value and maximize those cases. But it's a great area.
And the thing I love about it, Jim, is there's companies out there, and you probably know who I'm talking about, or you can do it yourself. But when you're trying to get car wrecks, you're having to go out the whole masses. I mean, you have to spend a hell of a net, right? Spend a lot of money. Which these lands you can go up to DMV or DOT or different places. And they got a map, and they got everybody's on there. There's people who know how to search the deeds, and you can get a mailing list. And unlike car wrecks where, everybody got sued several years ago, you can do direct mail. Yeah. So to me, it's a very economical way if you know how to market, do a book or whatever, or white paper, send them that, what do you got to lose type of deal. And kind of something that educates them, something that educates them. It could be a pamphlet, a book, or whatever. I just think it's a very economical way to get some very high value cases.
And the competition isn't what it is in, for auto or workers' comp cases, Social Security cases. It's not that many people know how to do it. So you're right. You can go do a FOIA request and get information because these are public takings, unless it's a private company, building a pipeline or something. But usually it's the information is accessible, and you look at the list and you can tell which property owners are on it, and you can then mail them. And it's a great way of not having to spend much to get good quality cases.
Yeah, I just think it's that's why I'm saying. But so far, one lawyer is going to do it. But But I'm just thinking, man, if I had to go back to practice law, that's what I'd open up. I'd open up an eminent domain. I don't know if I'd go to North Carolina, 'cause I think you got it wrapped up, but I might go down to South Carolina to get my license or somewhere, or go somewhere where there's comedy. Hopefully I won't have to do that. So, you've been very successful, Jim. I mean, you grew it from 22 cases to now you've handled, I think I saw your website, over 55,000 cases. Is that right?
That's right. That's right.
That's a lot of darn cases. And I heard you talking about intermediary goals. And that's probably one thing you probably, say, but what are your 2 or 3 things you like give advice out there to lawyers, or things that you really think help put you to the next level, success, key to your success?
Well, I think as a leader, you set the vision and the standards, and we after a while, we made our intermediate goals bigger and bigger, and we decided we're going to go after this and try to become better than what we are today. And so we weren't just content with what we were doing. We were always trying to get better, and whether that's add a new practice area or litigate more cases or whatever, we wanted to constantly improve. So I think as a leader, you have to set that tone that we're not satisfied with what we have. We're always going to try to improve. That's the first thing. And then secondly, you need to attract people who share that vision and want to do it and want to work in a high quality environment. And that comes down to culture, treating people right. I think if you're a jerk, people are not going to want to work with you. I think that you need to be a highly evolved human being and have emotional intelligence, empower people. And we've been really fortunate to have a cadre of people who've been here, some over 20 years on this ride, and having a high quality team that's dedicated and loyal and shares that vision and wants to work every day is super powerful. I think for any law firm to grow right now, whatever your size, we're in the midst of what the Great Resignation. Getting talent is critical and not as easy in this cycle as it has been. I think the real advantage comes to the firms that are able to recruit and retain the highest quality workers. We're fighting, over getting the best paralegals, because if we get a paralegal from a competitor who's a superstar, that helps us and hurts them. So I just think you want to build a vision and a law firm that becomes sort of a destination for many people, that really high quality people want to work there. I think you have to be organized. I think having good software and good systems is critical. Anytime you have 5,000 cases that you're resolving in a year, there are a lot of things that could be missed. It's 260 employees and 17 offices. Couldn't have imagined doing that 20 years ago. I could just handle my 22 cases. But now, I actually don't lose much sleep over it, because we've got the systems, we've got the people, but we also have the software. So we know that nothing's falling through the cracks and what needs to be paid attention to. So I think those are all elements, Ken, of the formula for success.
Yeah. And leading right into that, software. So, not only do you own a law firm, but you have a software company, right? Case management called GrowPath, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
We did this because the software that we were using, I don't mind telling you, for years we used needles. And I think a lot of people did, and some still do. It was okay, but as we were growing and getting more, our needs were increasing, we saw some limitations to it. And Eric Sanchez, who you knew, said, we've got to do better. He looked around and didn't find anything that he thought was going to work for us. And so we built our own software just for our firm. And we use it, and it's been fantastic, and we love it. And so but it was built for our firm. After that, we decided, well, we think we have a good product here. Let's make this available for other law firms around the country that are also interested in growing and doing some of the same things that we've been able to do. And so we founded that company. It's called GrowPath, and we do market that software and it's really for law firms that want to run better and grow.
Eric Sanchez is brilliant, by the way, and he's actually going to be speaking at our conference in June the 27th through the 30th in New Orleans at the Ritz-Carlton. And he's done some webinars, and I love to listen to him speak, because he's just so smart when it comes to management and numbers. He's a numbers guy for sure. And I looked at your GrowPath and did a review of it, and Now y'all are a proud sponsor of Pilma, and I like it. I mean, I really do. I mean, they went through it and showed me all the bells and whistles, and I mean, you use it for 260 people, it's got to be doing something right. Yeah.
Yeah. We're big believers. Yeah, Eric Sanchez is amazing. I encourage everybody to hear him speak at your Pilma conference. His expertise ranges from software to cybersecurity he's a Marine. He knows a lot about military strategy. He's been in operations in our law firm for 20 years. He's consulted with law firms around the country. He's like a Renaissance man. Leonardo da Vinci. He's a master of many, many things, and he's a great resource.
Good deal. So, is there anything we're getting near our time to stop? Is there anything that you would give lawyers out there, especially young lawyers that are trying to get into this PI business or just start their own law firm, because you started with 22 cases and look at you now. So you've got some knowledge of what to do right. What would be your 2 or 3 things you'd tell them? Nothing else, please do this.
Well, I think we've touched on them. I think to me, you got to love what you're doing. You have to have a heart for it. Because then if you love what you're doing, no matter what size you reach, you're going to be satisfied. Hopefully you can combine that, love for what you're doing with, the opportunity to grow and try other things. And if you want to grow, I'd say, build, set that as a goal, go to conferences, join Pilma, talk. It was really helpful for me to be around other lawyers who had already done things and could tell me, oh, this doesn't work, or I could steal ideas and see, well, this is working for them. I'm going to try to apply that my way to our firm. So I think network, attend conferences, get active in Pilma, get inspired, get ideas, and then you take your love for what you're doing with these great ideas that you're having, and then build a culture that is able to be a bridge between where you are now to where you're going by helping you recruit and retain people who share that same vision.
Listen, it's been a pleasure. It's been enlightening, and I appreciate you taking time, because I know you're busy if you got 260 people to look after, which I know you don't do that. You got other people. You have to look after the people that are looking after them, right? Yeah.
No, actually, the way we do it is following one of these books, Traction. I think everybody has no more than 6 people that they have to look after. And so I think that's helped us, because I used to have 20 or 30 and it drove me crazy. And so now with 6, as long as they're a good 6 and they've got a good 6 underneath them, I'm able to sleep at night and not stress about it.
All right, my friend, you take care, and thank you so much.
Ken, it's been a pleasure. Take care.
Right. All right. Until next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.